The Edge Network started in Calgary, near the Canadian Rockies. It's a wonderful city, but the winters can get a little long. It's not usually until mid-March before the colors start to change and things start to come to life again. Around the beginning of May, we can finally get to the gardens and work on the soil and plant the seeds. And then for a few short summer months, we'll try to provide the best environment for our gardens to grow. And that's exactly what this session is about. Home churches are not defined by a place or a time, but by the life they produce within people. So when it comes to starting home churches, think about planting a garden.
The thing about gardens that comes to mind for me is that when you plant a seed in the ground, it's going to germinate, it's going to start to grow, and it's going to eventually produce fruit. So there's a lot that happens in the life of a seed that's planted right from the beginning, as it's being germinated, as it's as it's starting to grow with the DNA that it has within it. So essentially, when people come to a house church, there's a particular culture, a particular DNA that's involved within the house church that helps individuals to grow, and a lot of that has to do with a feeling of love, a feeling of being welcomed, a feeling of being safe, a feeling of just being valued. And that's the culture, the relationship that we want to build within people as they come to be a part of any given house church. The culture, the ultimate culture, is based on our relationship with one another, but especially with our relationship with Jesus Christ, in our relationship with Jesus Christ. That's what we're trying to build, and that's what we're trying to grow within each of the people that attends house church.
You've heard or read the metaphor of soil in the Bible. Matthew 13 describes soil that is rocky, soil that is thorny, and soil that is good for growing. Your community will develop a certain soil or environment that will impact how well people grow. In 1 Corinthians 3, Paul writes about us planting and watering and God causing growth. The planting and watering process is directly connected to the health of the soil. Paul is saying that that's our part of being fruitful. We make sure our group culture is good for growing, and then the Holy Spirit causes the growth. This is the unique opportunity within home churches.
It allows people to come into a home to be part of a family type of atmosphere and be themselves and allow who they are to really, I'll use the word blossom, but and that's what Jesus did with individuals that he called to follow him. He always encouraged them in their own nature, in their own how he had already designed them to be. And again, the word DNA just pops up because it is so much a part of that inner life that God's already placed there, and we're just helping it to become, the fruit of what God has begun in them.
So the soil or culture you establish as a home church right in the beginning is very important, and it takes a lot of attention. Constantly ask yourselves good questions about the environment you are creating. Work hard at it, like getting your garden ready for spring. Then let it live. Home churches are living, breathing organisms. The Holy Spirit makes sure of that. So even though we work hard at it, we have to let God cause the growth and let it have a life of its own, which means we must be flexible and fluid, allowing people and the Spirit of God to determine the structure and the timing and the fruit that is grown. This is part of the strength of house churches.
There's been a lot of times that we've kind of struggled to get things going, but with our flexibility, we can make things happen. Because if there was no flexibility, then we probably missed out probably about half of the studies that we would have had.
And if we need to miss a week, we miss a week. It's not a problem. This summer, we're going to try Zooming from 3 locations instead of 2 because I'm going away. And so we'll still meet in the summer, even though I'm not in Calgary, I still can be part of the group. So that's good.
It's the flexibility that a house church brings that is really, in my view anyhow, something that I find really appeals to me. And kind of like what Sam says, if there for some reason we just can't attend at a certain time, if it wasn't flexible, then I just wouldn't be attending. But because we can negotiate a time that'll work for all of us, we get everybody able to come.
It sounds like in your experience, it was kind of fluid. There was this sort of up and down and stuff, but it, is it fair to say that the idea was something you're real positive in, but then when it came down to living it out, there was some kind of give and go, and until you found till you made the right fit for yourselves. Is that true, or how would you explain that?
Yeah, I would agree. I find having been a part of so many different churches, they really are a sum of their parts. And so some personalities do better together and some don't. And I think the biggest thing for us was just to keep trying and to keep looking into whether, especially when it comes to having kids and finding the right group that fits your age of kids, and just to continuously adjust and make space for people, and also know when it's not working and when to look for what is working and to look for what you do need.
One thing that helps us to understand how each individual house church helps people to grow is there's a particular flower. It's hydrangea, but this particular hydrangea plant, they've found when it is grown in different environments, even different parts of the world, it actually produces different colors of blossoms in the flower. And so a hydrangea plant that is grown here in North America, for example, may have red blossoms, but you take that same plant and plant it in South America, somewhere in Peru perhaps, and it might produce a yellow blossom or a red blossom. And so that's how I see the house church as well, because we come together in different places and we center and focus our thoughts and our hearts on Jesus Christ, but he's the one who brings out the fruit, the blossoms that he wants to produce in our particular part of the world, in our community. And that's how we reach out to people and show the love of Christ in our particular setting and with our particular culture that we're developing here.
God's intention is to cause growth and give life. So let's do our part. Make yourself available to people. Open your home and open your life to them. There is no better environment for people to grow, and people of all ages.
One of the simple ways actually of just experiencing Jesus in our house church is with our kids. We love praying for each other for our birthdays, prayer over the birthday person. And in January, when it was my birthday, that Sunday, we just asked the kid, or someone asked the kids, so who would like to pray for Miss Trish? And so one of the kids, one of the little 5-year-olds, I guess would have been, came over and he said, I'll pray for you. And so he actually just walked over on his own and put his hand on my shoulder and he prayed for me. And that was just like one of the most sweetest moments that I've experienced in house church. It was really amazing.
Awesome. What awesome seeds to be planting in young lives. So let's get good at gardening. The worksheet found in the materials tab will help you start thinking about home churches as gardens. And remember to listen to God's voice as you work through it. Pay attention to the thoughts and ideas and people that come to your mind. Then we'll see you again for the last session in part 1.